Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Itaya, and I'm streaming from Lagos, Nigeria to West Africa to Africa and the entire world. The Good Morning Education Show is a show where we discuss issues within and around the world of education, Mondays to Fridays, West African time, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. West African time, and Sundays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. West African time. On the Good Morning Education Show, we have conversations and things that we talk about within and around the world of education. And it's always a pleasure to have you join us. Please feel free to tell us your name and location, especially if it's your first time on the show. Tell us who you are. And of course, we'd love to appreciate you for joining. And if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask your questions on the show today. Feel free to ask your questions and also make contributions as the case may be. This is the Good Body Education Show, and today we'll be having conversation, and we believe that it's going to be engaging, it's going to be interesting, it's going to be exciting, and we also expect our analysts to join us as we navigate the conversation together. All right, so before then, we're going to go straight to the headline news. And on the headline news, we're going to have issues that we're going to be talking about, headlines, news that makes headlines within education. The first one we're talking about today says experts equip students with self-defense skill. Experts equip students with self-defense skill. Well, this kind of news obviously is coming up as a result of what has been happening or what is trending, as it were, you know, in in the setting and the environment. And this is not the first time where we are having people subscribing to self-defense, things like taekwondo, sorry, karate and the likes. We've had many people talk about that when there was an issue of rape some time ago, and so many things, so many things. So I believe this actually is born out of the need to also quell the bullying saga and the safeguarding of students, not just from the place of knowledge, but from the place of skill. And we believe that self-defense is meant to be self-defense and not abused, to turning that skill into also an attack, as it were. Well, I give five sides to the stories, and obviously, we cannot also say that it's only one-sided. So while we have self-defense, while we have policies and protections of children, we probably also need to talk about the aspect of getting the children counseled, so they actually know the impact of their actions, the consequences for certain actions. We will also need a lot of enforcement by law, and then ultimately we need improvement in pastoral care. Now, these are things that will easily make every approach come out as a balanced approach. Balanced approach. And we hope that this sends a strong signal to all the people in authority and those people who are also involved. And on that note, we're going to the next headline. And the next headline says, amend TT fund, that's TET fund, that's Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Amend the TED Fund law to make private universities access funds. That's what VC tells FG and NAS. And this is the second time that this is making headline news, where there's been a call and appeal for private university to have access to the TED Fund, funds, you know. Um, and I think that there's an element in a way that shows it as something that is not out of place. But let's see how it goes, because of course, to a large extent, private universities are self-funded and have full autonomy of what they do. So it might come as a difficult thing to push for, but nothing is impossible. It's a bit justified to make such requests. But that if such requests will be granted, that's another thing. So yes, that is that for that angle. So we hope uh, people listen and also concord to the conversation and the demands as well. Then the next headline that we'll be having says experts express concern over declining number of education students in universities. And this is a situation of when the chicken comes to roost. I think that we don't have the data, but we we shouldn't be surprised if the numbers decline, because there are different reasons that numbers do decline. Um, you must remember that it might not be generally that people are not going to university, it might be that people are not going to Nigerian universities, because it's been reported that even along West Africa, we have a lot of enrollment into tertiary institutions in other West African countries by Nigerians, and that speaks a lot of volume. Um, in some cases, it's not cheaper than Nigerian options, but I think we need to get ourselves into a room and have honest conversations where we are able to speak truth to ourselves and speak truth to power. We're able to articulate in clear terms, why we should be able to identify all that is required for us to identify and solve our problems, you know, amicably and immediately. Because the tertiary institution is not just a place, it also represents so many things. I think that, well, maybe because some people are not too vocal, but I think if we were to do some statistics or survey, some people might feel that it's a bit less disrupted in terms of academic calendar in other locations. And so when you make payment to someone or something, and after you make that payment, uh, you still have disruption. It seems like service is being denied. You pay for a service for a 4-year term, um, and then you find out that you're still in that ecosystem 50 years, sometimes 60 years, and that sometimes doesn't make sense. So we've been too authoritarian and disengaged that the people we are running universities for are beginning to say that, look, this is not our kind of place, it's not our kind of choice, and that in itself is going to cause a lot, it's going to cause a lot of decline. And in some cases, there are financial concerns. So many things. What's the relevance of the things being taught in the first place? So we need to get our hearts together, obviously. And we need to wake up and smell the coffee because we need to prevent, you know, a waste of resources, a waste of time in all that we find ourselves that we're doing. All right, so moving on, going to the next headline. And the next headline says, How to Revamp Tertiary Education by ex-UNESCO Chief. How to revamp tertiary education. So you might want to ask, is there a need for revamping of tertiary education? Right? If there is, how should it be done? In what succession? In what progression should it be done? I think that, well, tertiary institutions definitely need revamping for so many reasons. Just like some of the things I said earlier. Um, the processes, the culture, you know, the so many things. And it will take a lot of effort, but it will pay off both in the short term and in the long run ultimately. But this has to be done, right? So it would be good to listen to several experts make contributions to the ideas, and then we'll see how that thing turns around or plays out, you know, as the situation unfolds. So yes, it's good someone is speaking out to how we can address and turn our tertiary institutions around. I think that if we begin to even have transformation can be transformed, it gives us hope and a blueprint of how to demand not just from institutional transformation, but for national transformation. People need to see these things little by little. People need to see it. And that way, they're going to be able to embrace the best of it. That's my belief. That's my belief. And yeah, so let's look at another headline. This time around, we're moving a bit into it's an interesting one also. And this time around, talking about UK launches varsity entrepreneurship hub in Lagos. So you can see different people are taking advantage of our gaps, and sometimes it comes as an intervention, activation, comes as a project, comes as support. But look, a lot of people are stepping in, zoning in, and zoning out. Yeah, the influence of UK cannot be overemphasized. It's so strong in the country. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. So, congratulations to them. I hope that the dividends of this move will lead to raising and developing, all the resource and all the talents that we have to be able to boost eventually our economy as a people. That's what I hope this will lead into. So moving on, our last headline on the headline review, and this has to do with taming bullying in Nigerian schools. So the subject matter is there, and we are all aware of the current happenings and situations in our schools. A lot of things about bullying is flying in the air, you know. So because of that, you want to be able to address categorically. You want to be able to address categorically everything that has to do with bullying. So, well, the menace is there, and it require active, a lot of active support. It require a lot of active, approach. Making this, sorted out. So let's hope, let's hope and see, and let's pray as well that everything will work out as it should be. That's what I feel. That's what I believe. Let's hope and pray that everything works out. So, because bullying is for you to really tackle the menace, and if you're going to take advantage of the season to really do what is right and go all the way doing what is right, then we might need to bring about, so many measures. There will be training, there will be consultations, there will be improvement in processes, there will be activities, activation, there will be campaigning, there will be several things that will happen, for it all to work. So let's hope, let's pray, and let's believe that all these things will be sorted in good record time. That's my prayer. That's my belief. On that note, we will be going straight to the conversation of the day, and it's almost like our topic today seems to be a topic that seems to address things from both sides. And so it's pointed or curved fingers, or pointed versus curved fingers, or curved fingers versus pointed fingers. Either way, the fingers are involved. And really, the topic is just addressing the issue, of fault finding, and also the issue of rightness and rightness, correctness, perfectionism. A lot of people have had so many things to say as a result of, things that happen from time to time. And in fact, it puts us in a place of judgment where we have to define what exactly is better, who is better, what does the concept better refer to, who has the proprietary over the word better. And it gives us the relativity of the picture where you now see that a lot of people out there that are having fingers pointed are actually curved fingers. You know, because a lot of times they are not standing in the place of authority. They are not standing in the place of, how do I put it now? Not objectivity, but when you are able to say that you have a right to speak. I think that just like when sometimes you see things and you approach it from collective responsibility, collective ability, it will tend to make things better, things greater, and all that, but not necessarily from a place where you're putting yourself in superiority point of view. Um, so we need to just have this as a council, where we reflect that as we point fingers at things, what is right and what is wrong, as we define what should be and what not should be, must be mindful and we must be careful about the fact that it can swing in any way and in any direction. And so when you point your fingers, remember, you must be sure you are in right standing. You should be justified to be able to have the fingers pointed, else your fingers will be curved. That's what I think. We don't have our analysts in the house today, but I just feel that it's something that is quite debatable from different angles, but also it's something that we should glean from. We should understand, that we can, as a people, work in such a way where we're not just looking at having ourselves to point fingers out there, but also to articulate the best approach of things. A curved finger is a finger that is not objective, that is not looking for solution. A curved finger, is the opposite of what the pointed finger should be. A lot of people would rather think that saying it as it is and talking out and all those things is actually a pointed finger. No, a curved finger is all pain, all energy, without solution, all drive, all hate, without clarity, without help. That's what a curved finger is. Because it's just expressing, it's not projecting, it's not professing. Those are the things that I have as a concern. And whenever we have issues come up, issues like the issues at Dover College, issues like different people, we begin to find out that a lot of people, go up and about without getting the best of clarity as to how this thing should be fixed, as to how this thing should be done. So for me, that's the way I see it. And that's the way it can be done. So let's look at it from an objective point of view. Let's look at it from an holistic point of view. And let's try as much as possible to always work towards pointing fingers. Pointed fingers give direction towards solution, gravitate towards answers. Pointed fingers should actually cause us to progress, to advocate rather than agitate. So those things really help us. So as we go about our daily work, as we go about our daily duties, as we go about our lives, as we go about our work, as we go about the things that concerns us, I think that this is how we should work, and this is how we should do these things. So thank you so much. We're going to be ending right now. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. We'll be here tomorrow again, same time. And until then, we will be having our sign up and our usual practice. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel, like our page, follow us, share the videos of the people. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, remember, as we always say on the show, it is always a great morning